The sun rose over the desert world of Kuros, casting long orange shadows across the endless sand dunes. The heat shimmered in the air, making the horizon look like it was moving. A small group of human explorers walked carefully, their boots leaving deep prints in the soft sand. They carried backpacks, scanners, and supplies for months of travel. Each step brought them closer to the place that legends spoke of, a place that other species had tried to reach for hundreds of years without success. The leader of the group, a tall woman named Myra, stopped and looked at the map she held. Her eyes were bright with excitement. "This is it," she said. "The tomb should be just beneath this dune." The others gathered around. They were tired, but their curiosity pushed them forward. Humans were known for their courage and determination, and today they would test both. One of the explorers, a young man named Ryan, pointed at the ground. "I feel something here. It is not like the rest of the sand. It is harder, almost like stone under the surface." Myra knelt down and pressed her fingers into the sand. She could feel a slight vibration beneath her fingertips. "Good," she said. "This matches the records of the Queen's tomb. We are close." The tomb belonged to Queen Serat, a ruler of Kuros from thousands of years ago. Legends said she had great power, far beyond any normal ruler. Many species had tried to enter her tomb, drawn by the promise of treasures or knowledge. All had failed. The tomb had swallowed them, and they were never seen again. But humans were different. They had patience, creativity, and the ability to work together in ways other species often could not. Myra believed these qualities might give them a chance. The team began to dig carefully, removing the top layer of sand. The desert wind blew around them, and the sun climbed higher in the sky. Hours passed, but no one grew discouraged. Each human understood that great discoveries took time. Finally, their shovels hit something hard. A sound echoed softly as the metal scraped against stone. Ryan and Myra knelt together and brushed the sand away. Beneath them was a smooth surface, carved with symbols that glowed faintly in the sunlight. Myra's heart raced. "This is the gate," she said quietly. "The Queen's tomb is real." The other explorers gathered around. They looked at the carvings, their eyes wide with wonder. The symbols were not just letters or pictures. They seemed to move slightly, like the stone itself was alive. Some of the humans tried to touch the carvings, and the light beneath their fingers shifted and pulsed. It was beautiful and strange. One of the explorers, an older woman named Lyra, examined the patterns carefully. "These symbols are not just decoration," she said. "They are a kind of code. I think they are waiting for the right person to understand them." The humans studied the gate for hours. They tried to open it with tools and machines, but nothing worked. Other species had tried the same methods and failed. Myra looked at the gate and then at her team. "We need to think differently," she said. "This is not about strength. It is about understanding." Ryan knelt down and ran his fingers over the glowing symbols again. Suddenly, he hummed a simple tune. It was soft and calm, a sound he had used to remember rhythms during long travels. To everyone's surprise, the light in the carvings began to pulse in time with his humming. The stone seemed to respond to the music. Myra's eyes widened. "Try louder," she said. Ryan hummed louder, and the others joined in. Their voices mixed in harmony, and the symbols on the gate shone brighter. Then, with a low hum, the gate slowly opened. A dark passage appeared beyond, leading down into the desert. The air from the tomb was cool and still, a sharp contrast to the heat outside. The alien locals of Kuros, who had watched from a distance, whispered among themselves. They had believed the tomb could never be opened. For centuries, their stories had warned others to stay away. Yet here were humans, calmly opening a gate that had defeated countless others. Myra turned to her team. "This is just the beginning," she said. "The Queen's tomb is vast. We need to be careful and work together. Nothing inside is guaranteed to be easy, but we will face it as humans always do, by thinking, by trusting each other, and by not giving up. The humans stepped inside the tomb, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. The walls were carved with the history of Queen Serat's reign. The images showed cities of shining towers, great machines, and people working together in harmony. The tomb was not just a resting place for the queen, it was a story, a message left for anyone who could reach it. As they moved deeper, Myra felt a sense of awe. The tomb seemed alive, as if it remembered the people who had created it. The air was heavy with the weight of history, but also with possibility. Humans had entered a place no one else could, and that was only the first step. Outside, the sun continued to burn over the desert. The wind carried whispers of the past across the dunes. But inside the tomb, the humans pressed on, ready to discover the secrets of a queen who had challenged time itself. The air inside the tomb was cool and quiet. The humans moved carefully, their footsteps echoing softly against the walls. Light from their lamps revealed carvings of strange creatures, floating cities, and symbols that seemed to shift when anyone looked directly at them. Every corridor felt alive, as if the tomb itself was watching. Myra led the way, holding the map she had created from earlier scans. Ryan paused and pointed at a massive door ahead. "This must be another gate," he said. The door was taller than any human, covered in carvings that glowed faintly. Unlike the first gate, it seemed impossible to open. Machines and tools had no effect. Even the strongest pushes did not budge it. Lyra examined the symbols closely. "They are not just words," she said. "They are instructions, but not in a language I know. It is more like music or rhythm. They are waiting for something from us, not from our tools." Myra nodded. "Other explorers failed here because they tried to break it. We need to think differently." She looked at Ryan. "You tried humming at the first gate. Maybe it will work again." Ryan hesitated. "I am not sure, but it is worth trying." He took a deep breath and hummed a single note. The stone vibrated slightly. Encouraged, he hummed a second note, and the carvings pulsed with light in response. Myra's heart raced. She could see the door was listening. "Try a pattern," Lyra suggested. "Something simple at first." Ryan hummed a short tune, one he remembered from his childhood. The light moved faster along the symbols, and then the stone hummed back, a soft resonance that seemed almost like a voice. The humans exchanged amazed looks. "Keep going," Myra said. They all joined, clapping and humming together. Their combined voices created harmony, and the door's light grew brighter. Slowly, the stone began to shift. The massive gate slid upward, revealing a dark passage beyond. The humans stepped inside. The walls were lined with carvings of warriors, scholars, and citizens celebrating in grand halls. Unlike the outside world, these images felt peaceful and joyful. It was clear that Queen Serat had built her kingdom not with fear, but with care for her people. As they walked deeper, the passage narrowed. The light from their lamps revealed small stone panels on the floor. Each panel had a symbol, and stepping on the wrong one caused a faint hum and a flash of light. Myra motioned for the group to stop. "These are tests," she said. "The tomb does not want us to rush. We need to move carefully and observe patterns." The humans studied the panels. Ryan noticed that some symbols matched the carvings on the walls. "I think we need to step on the panels in the order of the story on the walls," he said. Myra agreed. Slowly, they began to step carefully, following the sequence of images. Each correct step made the floor hum softly, and the path ahead opened a little more. Finally, they reached a large chamber. The walls were covered in symbols that glowed softly, and the air had a faint, pleasant fragrance. In the center of the room stood a pedestal with a crystal sphere. The sphere pulsed with light, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Lyra stepped forward. "This is beautiful," she whispered. The sphere seemed to respond to her presence, spinning slowly. "It is not just decoration. It wants us to touch it." Myra nodded. She reached out and placed her hand on the sphere. A wave of energy passed through her, warm and calming. Images filled her mind, the history of Queen Serat, the construction of her kingdom, and the care she gave to every citizen. The humans realized that the tomb was not only a resting place, but also a library of knowledge. Ryan touched the sphere next. He saw visions of other species trying to enter the tomb and failing. None had succeeded because they only wanted treasure or power. Myra understood. The tomb was a test. It was not about strength or machines. It was about respect, patience, and understanding. Suddenly, the light from the sphere expanded, filling the chamber. The humans felt as if the room was alive. The symbols on the walls rearranged themselves, forming a path forward. A door appeared where none had been before. Myra led the group through it, their excitement growing. Beyond the door, the corridor split into 3 paths. Each path had different symbols and carvings. "We need to choose wisely," Myra said. "The tomb will not let us proceed if we are careless." They studied the carvings, noting similarities to the stories they had seen. One path showed scholars learning, another showed builders constructing, and the third showed warriors protecting the kingdom. Lyra spoke first. "I think the tomb wants us to value knowledge and creation over destruction. The first 2 paths are safer choices." Myra agreed, and they chose the path of scholars and builders. The third path, the one of warriors, seemed to lead to traps for those who came with aggression. As they walked, the air became cooler, and the symbols on the walls glowed brighter. They passed statues of humans and alien species working together. The tomb seemed to celebrate cooperation, not conquest. The humans felt a sense of pride. This was what made their species unique, the ability to work together, to solve problems with creativity and care. The corridor eventually opened into a vast chamber. A soft light filled the room, revealing a floor that reflected their images like water. In the center was a massive door, more intricate than any they had seen. Symbols danced across its surface, responding to their movements. Myra stepped closer. "This is the next gate," she said. "I think it will only open if we act together. It is testing our cooperation, not our strength." They joined hands and walked in a circle, moving in rhythm with the symbols. Slowly, the door began to shift. Light poured from the edges, and the chamber beyond was revealed. The humans had done what no other species had managed. They had opened a second gate, using patience, observation, and teamwork. Their hearts raced with excitement, but Myra reminded them to stay focused. The tomb was vast, and the challenges would only grow more complex. Outside the tomb, the desert sun continued to shine. The wind moved the sands across the dunes. But inside, the humans had proven something extraordinary. They had discovered that the Queen's tomb was not merely a place of death, but a place of learning, a place where respect and intelligence could overcome the impossible. As they stepped through the gate into the next chamber, Myra whispered to the group, "We are not just exploring history. We are part of it now." The humans felt a mix of awe and determination. The tomb had tested them, but it also welcomed them. Their journey had only just begun. The humans stepped cautiously into the next chamber. The air was cooler and smelled faintly of stone and minerals. Their lamps cast circles of light on the walls, but what they saw made them stop. The stone itself seemed alive. Tiny patterns shifted and moved as they watched. Figures of people, animals, and strange machines appeared and disappeared along the walls. Myra raised her hand. "Stay calm and watch closely," she said. "This is different from anything we have seen before." The walls pulsed softly, reacting to their presence. When one of the humans moved too close, a pattern changed, as if the tomb was learning who they were. Ryan stepped forward. "It feels like the walls are telling a story," he said. "But the story is not fixed. It changes when we move." Myra nodded. "We need to remember that we are visitors here. We must be careful and patient." As they walked deeper, the walls displayed scenes from Queen Serat's life. Humans had never seen such precision in art. Machines built great cities, gardens flourished, and people worked together in harmony. Every image seemed to glow softly, and when someone touched a carving gently, it responded with a small movement or sound. Lyra knelt down and ran her fingers across a pattern. A tiny figure waved at her before disappearing. She smiled. "The tomb is interactive. It wants us to notice details. It will not allow anyone to rush through." The corridor ahead narrowed, and the walls began to shift. It was no longer a straight path. Turns appeared where none existed before, and openings vanished as soon as they had passed. The humans realized that the tomb was alive in another sense. It could change its structure, testing those who entered. Myra turned to the group. "We need to work together. We will mark our path, move slowly, and observe everything carefully. This is not a place to be careless." The humans nodded, understanding that the tomb respected thought and patience more than strength or speed. Ryan noticed something unusual. A section of the wall glowed brighter than the rest. "Look," he said. "It seems to respond when I point at it." Myra examined the symbols. "It wants attention. Maybe it is a clue for the correct path." They followed the glowing section, and soon a small chamber opened. Inside, a crystal sat in the center, surrounded by carvings that seemed to dance with light. The humans approached carefully. When Myra touched the crystal, the images on the walls changed. They showed other explorers who had entered the tomb and failed. Some had rushed, some had tried to fight, and all had disappeared. Ryan said quietly, "The tomb does not punish us, but it shows what happens to those who are careless." Myra nodded. "This is why we must be patient and respectful. We are different from the others because we understand this." The humans continued down the corridor. The walls became more complex, with moving shapes and hidden passages. Some sections of the floor lit up when stepped on, revealing the safest route. Others remained dark, hiding pitfalls or dead ends. The tomb demanded attention and thought, rewarding those who worked together. Lyra observed the patterns carefully. "These walls are teaching us something," she said. "Not just about the queen, but about ourselves. We must trust each other, notice details, and stay calm." Myra smiled. "Exactly. That is why we are succeeding where others failed." As they progressed, they reached a chamber filled with small fountains of water. The water reflected the walls, doubling the images and creating a kaleidoscope of light. The humans paused to admire the beauty, but Myra reminded them, "We are here to explore, not to be distracted. Every detail matters." In the center of the chamber was a low stone table with carvings of strange symbols. When the humans placed their hands on the table, the walls reacted. Scenes of cities, gardens, and scholars appeared. The tomb seemed to reward those who approached with respect. The humans felt a connection to the queen and her world. Ryan whispered, "It is like the tomb is alive. It is not dangerous, but it is aware." Myra nodded. "Yes. It reacts to respect and cooperation. That is why it has remained untouched for centuries. Only those who value patience and thought can proceed." The humans moved forward carefully. Some walls shifted slightly, closing off areas that seemed like shortcuts. The tomb guided them along the safest and most thoughtful path. Each step required observation and understanding, not strength. Finally, they reached a chamber with high ceilings and carvings that glowed with soft blue light. The walls displayed the queen surrounded by advisors, scientists, and builders. She smiled as if welcoming the humans. In the center was a large door, unlike any they had seen before. It was covered with intricate patterns and moving symbols. Myra examined the door. "This is another test," she said. "The tomb has brought us here to see if we can understand its lessons. It will only open for those who are careful and work together." The humans joined hands and walked slowly, observing the symbols and patterns. They mimicked the movements they had seen in the carvings, stepping carefully on lit sections of the floor. The door responded, moving slightly as they worked in harmony. After several minutes, the door slowly opened. Beyond it lay a long, dark corridor. The walls pulsed gently, as if breathing. Myra looked at her team. "We have succeeded again. The tomb trusts us, and we must continue to honor that trust." The humans continued forward, more confident than before. They had learned that the tomb rewarded patience, cooperation, and respect. Other species had failed because they had tried to use force or rush through. Humans had succeeded by thinking carefully, working together, and understanding the lessons hidden in the living walls. As they moved deeper, the tomb grew quieter. The walls no longer displayed moving figures as much. Instead, they showed symbols of balance, cooperation, and care. The humans understood that they were approaching the heart of the tomb. The challenges would become harder, but they were ready. Myra smiled at her team. "We are proving something important," she said. "Humans can succeed where others cannot. Not because we are the strongest, but because we are patient, careful, and we work together." The team felt a sense of pride and determination. The tomb had welcomed them this far, and they would continue. Beyond the next corridor, new challenges awaited. But the humans were ready to face them, confident in their ability to learn, observe, and cooperate. The Queen's tomb had revealed its first secret: respect and patience could overcome any obstacle. The corridor ahead grew narrower and darker. The humans moved with care, their lamps casting small circles of light on the walls. Myra led the group, holding the map and guiding them step by step. Every sound seemed louder than usual. Even the smallest echo bounced through the stone, making the explorers pause. Ryan stopped and listened. "Do you hear that?" he asked. The others stopped as well. Faint whispers filled the air, coming from every direction. At first, the voices were soft, almost like the wind moving through the tomb. Then they became clearer. Each human began to hear words that seemed to be meant only for them. Myra felt a strange unease. The whispers spoke to her fears and doubts. "You will never reach the Queen," one voice said. "Turn back before it is too late." Lyra heard a voice calling her name, urging her to leave her friends behind. Ryan's voice was filled with reminders of his mistakes and failures from the past. The humans looked at each other with concern. They had faced challenges before, but nothing like this. The tomb had created illusions that preyed on their minds, testing their courage and focus. Myra spoke calmly. "We cannot listen to them. These are tricks. We have to focus on each other and not on the voices." Ryan nodded. "But they sound so real. How can we ignore them?" Myra thought for a moment. "We need something to remind us of reality. Something we can trust. Our own senses, and each other." She held out her hand. "Everyone, take each other's hands. Feel the heartbeat of the person next to you. That is real. That cannot be taken away by whispers." The humans joined hands, forming a circle. They focused on the rhythm of each other's heartbeats. Slowly, the whispers seemed to fade in intensity. The voices continued, but they could no longer control the explorers. The humans realized that together, they were stronger than the illusions. Lyra spoke quietly. "The tomb is testing our trust in each other. It wants to see if we can stay united despite fear." Myra nodded. "That is correct. It will not harm us if we pass the test, but we must remain steady." As they moved forward, the whispers changed. They no longer tried to frighten them, but instead offered tempting promises. One voice told Ryan he could leave and discover untold treasures for himself. Another promised Lyra endless knowledge if she abandoned the group. Myra herself heard a voice offering her the power to control the tomb and its secrets. The humans knew what they had to do. They continued holding hands, speaking to each other quietly, reminding themselves that their goal was to respect the tomb and the queen, not to seek personal gain. By focusing on their shared purpose, the illusions lost power over them. The corridor began to change. Symbols appeared on the walls, glowing softly in response to their calm and steady movement. The whispers grew fainter as the humans pressed forward. The tomb was no longer trying to frighten or tempt them. It was testing their unity and ability to remain true to their values. Ryan noticed a small alcove in the wall. "Look at this," he said. Inside was a carved scene showing humans working together to solve a puzzle. Myra examined it. "This is a guide. The tomb is showing us how to succeed. We need to trust each other, observe carefully, and act as one." The humans followed the guidance. They stepped carefully, watched the walls for signs, and continued speaking quietly to each other. The echoes of their own voices replaced the whispers. Each step forward was met with glowing symbols on the walls, guiding them through the trial. After what felt like hours, the corridor opened into a large chamber. The air was still, and the walls were covered with carvings of humans and alien species standing together. The whispers were gone, replaced by a soft hum of energy from the walls. Myra smiled. "We did it. We passed the trial of voices. The tomb trusts us to continue." Lyra knelt to examine the carvings. The queen left lessons for anyone who could reach this far. The whispers were meant to test our hearts, not our strength. Myra nodded. Other species failed because they allowed fear or greed to control them. We succeeded because we stayed united and focused on what mattered. In the center of the chamber was a low pedestal with a crystal that pulsed softly. When Myra touched it, images appeared in her mind. She saw explorers who had been lost to the tomb. They had let the whispers guide their actions and lost their way. Then she saw the humans themselves, steady and calm, moving through challenges without giving in to fear. Ryan and Lyra also touched the crystal. Each felt a warmth and understanding. The tomb was not a place of punishment but of learning. It rewarded patience, unity, and respect. The humans realized that they were part of something greater than themselves. The tomb was teaching lessons that could last for generations. Myra looked at her team. "We have learned something important. The tomb tests not just the body, but the mind and heart. We must continue to honor that as we move forward." The humans nodded, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment. They were not only explorers, they were students of the Queen and her world. A new corridor opened at the far side of the chamber. The walls glowed softly, showing images of cities, gardens, and peaceful people. The path was clear, but the humans knew that more trials awaited. Each step forward required focus, respect, and teamwork. As they moved, the humans felt stronger. The whispers had tried to divide them, but they had remained united. They understood the tomb's lessons. Fear and greed could not succeed in a place built on patience, cooperation, and respect. Humans had proven themselves capable of learning, adapting, and working together in ways other species could not. Ryan whispered, "We are getting closer to the heart of the tomb. I can feel it." Myra smiled. "Yes. But we must stay humble. The tomb has more challenges ahead, and we must continue to respect its lessons." The humans walked on, their hands still joined, their hearts steady, and their minds clear. The trial of voices had tested them, but it had also strengthened them. They knew that together, they could face whatever lay ahead. As they approached the next chamber, Myra looked back at her team. "We are ready," she said. We have proven ourselves not by strength or speed, but by unity, respect, and courage. The humans nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose. The tomb had opened a part of its secrets to them, and they were determined to honor them. The corridor stretched ahead, dark but welcoming. The humans moved forward, confident in their ability to face whatever the tomb would show them next. They had passed the trial of voices, and they had done it together. Their journey was far from over, but they had taken a major step toward understanding the Queen's forbidden tomb. The corridor opened into a vast chamber. Its ceiling stretched high above, lost in shadows. The walls glowed with pale blue light, and the floor was smooth stone, polished by centuries of time. In the center of the room stood a figure that made the humans stop in awe. It was tall and made of shining metal and crystal. Its form resembled a warrior, but it did not move like a person. Light flowed through its body, and its eyes glowed softly. The humans instinctively stepped back. The guardian had been waiting for centuries, silent and powerful. A voice filled the chamber. It was deep and calm, yet it echoed with authority. "Who enters the Queen's tomb?" it asked. The humans looked at each other, unsure how to respond. Myra stepped forward and spoke clearly. "We are humans. We come to learn, to respect the Queen, and to understand her legacy." The Guardian's light pulsed. "Many have come seeking power, treasure, or knowledge to control others. They have failed. Why should you succeed?" Myra thought carefully. "We do not seek to take. We seek to learn and to honor. We respect the tomb and all that the Queen has left behind." The Guardian remained still for a moment. Then it raised one hand. A soft sound filled the chamber, like a hum of energy. "Those who seek respect and wisdom may proceed. Those who bring harm may not pass." Ryan whispered to Myra, "How do we prove we are worthy?" Myra replied, "We act as we have. With patience, cooperation, and care. That is what the tomb has taught us." The Guardian moved, walking slowly around them. It observed each human carefully. Its crystal hands glowed, and the patterns on its armor shifted. The humans did not move, not out of fear, but out of respect. They understood that this being was not an enemy, but a test of character. The Guardian stopped before Lyra. It extended a hand, and she saw that it was empty. She hesitated. Myra whispered, "It is not a trap. Trust yourself." Lyra reached out and touched the Guardian's hand. A warm energy flowed through her, filling her with calm and understanding. She realized that the Guardian could sense intentions, not just words. The figure turned to Ryan. "Your courage has brought you here. But courage alone is not enough. You must show wisdom and care for others." Ryan nodded. He placed his hand gently on the Guardian's arm. Light flowed around him, connecting him to the Guardian. He felt a sense of unity, as if he and the being were sharing understanding. Myra stepped forward again. "We do not wish to fight or harm. We offer respect and cooperation. Let us pass to continue learning." The Guardian paused. Its eyes glowed brighter. Then it slowly lowered its arms and stepped aside. The humans realized that the way to pass was not through strength or clever tricks. It was through the values the tomb had already taught them: respect, patience, cooperation, and care. They had succeeded because they had acted with honesty and unity. The chamber was filled with soft light. Patterns on the walls moved like water, showing images of people working together, building cities, and learning from one another. The Guardian's presence seemed to amplify the lessons of the tomb. Myra and the others felt a deep sense of connection to the Queen and her world. Ryan whispered, "The Guardian is not just a protector. It is part of the tomb's teaching. It shows what is valued and what is not." Myra nodded. "Exactly. We have passed the trial because we understand that strength without wisdom is empty. Respect and care guide true success." The Guardian's light dimmed as the humans moved forward. It did not follow or block their path. The chamber ahead was wide and open, with carvings of scholars, builders, and citizens celebrating achievements together. The humans walked slowly, absorbing every detail. Lyra noticed a small inscription on the floor. It says that the tomb honors those who act with compassion, and that only those who bring harmony may reach the heart of the Queen's resting place. Myra smiled. That is what we have done. That is why we are here. The humans paused for a moment, looking back at the Guardian. It stood still, shining in the center of the chamber. Its presence was calm, but powerful. They realized that the being was not only a guardian but also a teacher. It had guided them without force, showing that true protection comes from wisdom and understanding, not power alone. As they moved past the Guardian, the corridor ahead narrowed. Light from the walls reflected softly on their faces. The chamber behind them remained bright, a symbol of the success they had achieved through patience and cooperation. Myra felt a sense of pride, not for herself, but for her team and their ability to act together. Ryan whispered, "Every step we take teaches us something new. This tomb is more than a resting place. It is a school, a lesson from the Queen." Myra nodded. Yes. The Guardian is one of the lessons. Strength alone does not succeed. Understanding, respect, and care do. The humans continued down the corridor. Each step was measured and careful. The tomb seemed quieter after passing the Guardian, as if it acknowledged their success. Symbols on the walls shifted to show more images of the Queen and her people, highlighting creativity, learning, and collaboration. Lyra smiled. We are proving something important. We are showing that humans can succeed where others fail, not by force, but by working together and respecting what is greater than ourselves. Myra nodded. Exactly. That is the lesson of this tomb. That is the lesson of the Queen. The corridor opened into a new chamber, larger than any they had seen before. Its ceiling was high, and the walls glowed with golden light. In the center was a pedestal, and atop it rested a crystal that pulsed softly. Myra approached it with care, feeling the weight of what they had achieved. The Guardian remained in the chamber behind them, silent and still. It had tested them, guided them, and now it watched as they approached the next stage of their journey. The humans understood that the being had not only protected the tomb but had also prepared them for what was ahead. Myra placed her hand on the crystal. Warm energy spread through her body, and visions of the Queen's life filled her mind. She saw her people thriving, learning, and creating. She understood that the tomb was designed not to trap explorers, but to teach them the values that had made the Queen's kingdom strong. Ryan and Lyra also touched the crystal. Each felt the same warmth, the same understanding. They realized that the Queen's tomb rewarded those who acted with care, unity, and respect. The Guardian had been a final test, ensuring that only those who embodied these values could proceed. Myra turned to her team. We are ready for the next part of the journey, she said. We have learned patience, cooperation, and respect. We have faced fear and temptation, and we have succeeded. The tomb has shown us what matters most. The humans walked forward together, leaving the Guardian behind. The chamber glowed behind them, a symbol of their success. They knew that greater challenges awaited, but they were confident. The Guardian had tested them, and they had passed. They had proven themselves worthy to continue toward the heart of the Queen's forbidden tomb. The corridor beyond the Guardian opened into a vast hall, unlike any the humans had seen before. Its ceiling stretched high above, glowing with soft golden light. The walls shimmered with scenes of the Queen's people building cities, studying knowledge, and celebrating harmony. Every detail was alive, as if the tomb remembered and celebrated every moment of her kingdom. In the center of the hall lay a massive sarcophagus, carved from a single piece of crystal. It pulsed with a gentle light that reflected across the walls. Myra and her team approached slowly, their hearts racing with awe and respect. The Queen's presence seemed to fill the hall, not as a spirit, but as a memory preserved in the stone and crystal. Ryan whispered, "This is incredible. She has preserved her life and her world here." Lyra nodded. "It is not just her body. It is her story, her wisdom, and her care for her people." Myra took a deep breath. "We must remember why we are here. We are not here to take. We are here to learn and to honor." The sarcophagus was covered in inscriptions. As Myra read them, she realized they were not warnings or threats. They were lessons. They explained that Queen Serat had achieved greatness not through conquest, but through respect, cooperation, and care for every person in her kingdom. She had created the tomb as a test for anyone who might seek to disturb her rest. Ryan stepped closer. "It says here that she wished to remain in peace. She did not want to rise again. She wanted her tomb to be a place of learning, not of power." Myra nodded. "That is why she left challenges for us. The tomb tests the heart, not the strength." The humans moved carefully around the sarcophagus. The light from their lamps reflected in the crystal, creating 1,000 dancing patterns on the walls. The chamber was silent except for their soft footsteps. They understood that this was the final stage of the Queen's trial. Their actions here would determine if they had truly learned her lessons. Lyra spoke softly. "We have a choice. We can study her and share her wisdom without disturbing her rest, or we can try to take what we want and risk breaking everything she built." Myra looked at the sarcophagus. "We respect her. We study, we observe, and we leave her in peace. That is the right choice." Ryan nodded. "Other species failed because they wanted treasure or power. We succeed because we value respect and learning." The humans gathered around the sarcophagus, taking careful notes and photographing the carvings. They observed every detail of the Queen's life, her teachings, and her achievements. As they worked, the chamber seemed to respond. The walls shimmered, and the light grew warmer. It was as if the tomb was approving their actions. The humans felt a deep connection to the Queen and her world. They understood that true greatness came from caring for others, not seeking personal gain. Myra placed her hand gently on the crystal sarcophagus. A soft warmth spread through her, and she felt a vision of the Queen herself. Serat smiled, not with pride, but with understanding. She had seen that the humans were worthy of her legacy. Myra realized that the tomb had allowed them to reach this far because of their respect, patience, and cooperation. Ryan whispered, "It feels like she is thanking us. Not for opening the tomb, but for honoring her wishes." Lyra smiled. "That is the lesson. The tomb is not about power. It is about understanding, learning, and respect." The humans spent hours exploring the chamber. They studied the carvings, the inscriptions, and the crystals. Every detail taught them something about the Queen's life and the world she had built. They realized that her kingdom had succeeded not through fear or force, but through harmony and cooperation. As they prepared to leave, Myra turned to her team. "We have learned the greatest lesson of all. The Queen wanted her tomb to be a place of learning, not of gain. We have honored her, and that is why we succeeded." Ryan looked back at the sarcophagus. "It is beautiful. We can take knowledge and wisdom, but we leave her in peace. That is the way we respect her." Lyra nodded. "And that is what makes us different. We have passed all trials not through strength, but through understanding and care." The chamber seemed to glow brighter as they moved toward the exit. The tomb itself felt alive, not in a threatening way, but as a witness to their respect. The humans realized that they were part of the Queen's story now. They had succeeded where others had failed because they had learned the lessons of patience, cooperation, and respect. Myra whispered to the team, "We have reached the heart of the tomb. The Queen's rest is sacred, and we have honored it. That is the greatest success we could achieve." The humans took one last look at the sarcophagus. The crystal pulsed softly, and the carvings on the wall seemed to shimmer with life. It was clear that the queen's memory and wisdom would remain undisturbed. They felt pride, not in what they had accomplished for themselves, but in their ability to honor her legacy. As they walked back through the corridors, the tomb seemed calmer. The moving walls and shifting symbols were gentle now, acknowledging their understanding. The humans realized that every trial, every challenge, had been designed to teach them something important. They had not only explored history, but they had become part of it. Ryan whispered, "I think we understand now. The tomb was never about what we could take. It was about what we could learn and how we could act." Myra nodded. "Yes. That is why we succeeded. Respect, cooperation, patience, and care. That is what the Queen valued most, and that is what allowed us to reach her resting place." Lyra smiled. "We will take her lessons with us, not her treasures. That is the true value of this journey." Myra agreed. "We will share her wisdom, not as conquerors, but as learners. That is the honor of being here." The humans finally stepped out of the chamber, their hearts full of understanding and pride. They had faced every challenge, from the living walls to the trial of voices, to the guardian. They had reached the Queen's rest and honored her wishes. The tomb had revealed its greatest secrets to them, and they had proven themselves worthy. Outside the sarcophagus chamber, the corridors glowed softly, and the symbols on the wall seemed to bow in respect. The humans walked together, feeling a sense of unity and accomplishment. They had learned that true success is not measured by what is taken, but by what is respected and preserved. Myra looked at her team. "We have reached the heart of the Queen's tomb and honored her legacy. That is a victory far greater than any treasure could offer." The humans nodded, feeling the truth of her words. As they prepared to leave the tomb, they knew that their journey had changed them. They had faced challenges that tested their minds, hearts, and spirits. They had learned patience, respect, and cooperation. They had proven that humans could succeed where others had failed, not through power, but through understanding. The Queen's tomb remained a sacred place, untouched and undisturbed, its lessons preserved for those who could appreciate them. The humans had passed every trial, honored every test, and left with knowledge and wisdom that would last a lifetime. Myra whispered, "We have fulfilled our purpose here. The Queen's rest is safe, and we have learned her greatest lessons. That is the true reward." The humans stepped forward, leaving the heart of the tomb behind, carrying with them not treasure or power, but respect, knowledge, and understanding. They had reached the Queen's rest and had proven themselves worthy. The humans emerged from the tomb into the bright sunlight of Kuros. The desert stretched wide around them, golden dunes rolling to the horizon. The air felt warm and alive, a sharp contrast to the cool calm of the tomb. Myra shaded her eyes and looked back at the entrance. The tomb was quiet, silent, and still, but it seemed to watch them with approval. Ryan took a deep breath. "We made it," he said softly. "We actually made it." Lyra smiled. "And we left everything as it should be. The Queen's rest is safe." Myra nodded. "That is the most important part. We did not take anything we should not, but we carry her wisdom with us." From the dunes, the alien locals watched. Many had been wary, believing the tomb could not be entered or survived. They had whispered tales of explorers who had disappeared forever. Now, they saw humans stepping out unharmed. Murmurs spread quickly among the watchers. The humans had done what no one else could. One elder approached Myra. "You have entered the tomb and returned," he said. His voice was filled with awe. "No one has ever done this. Why were you able to succeed?" Myra smiled gently. "We acted with respect, patience, and unity. We did not try to take what was not ours. We learned and honored what the Queen left behind." The locals nodded slowly, understanding the difference. Many had tried to enter with desire for power or wealth. Humans succeeded not through strength, but through careful observation, cooperation, and understanding. Myra realized that this journey was more than an exploration. It was a lesson for the entire galaxy. Ryan looked at the horizon. The tomb has taught us something important. Success is not about what you take, but how you act. That is what made the difference. Lyra added, and it is what will make us different from others. We can use this knowledge wisely. Myra gathered the team. We must share the lessons of the tomb. Not the treasure or secrets for personal gain, but the principles of respect, patience, and cooperation. That is the true legacy of Queen Serat. The team agreed. They knew that these lessons were more valuable than anything else they could carry from Kuros. As they traveled back to their ship, the desert seemed less harsh. The dunes no longer appeared endless, and the wind no longer felt cold or frightening. The humans understood that their journey had changed them. They had faced illusions, tests, and guardians, and they had proven themselves capable of rising above fear and temptation. Ryan turned to Myra. Do you think anyone will believe us? Myra smiled. They will have to. Our actions speak louder than words. The tomb allowed us to enter and return because of our choices. That is proof enough. When they reached the ship, the locals approached more closely. Children peeked from behind adults, curious and wide-eyed. Myra knelt down. The tomb is not a place of wealth. It is a place of learning. Those who respect it and act with care may gain knowledge, not gold. The elders nodded, understanding the message. The humans shared what they had learned with the locals and with other explorers from neighboring planets. They described the living walls, the trial of voices, the guardian, and the lessons of the Queen's rest. Every story emphasized the importance of patience, cooperation, respect, and understanding. The other species listened carefully. They had sought the tomb for centuries, but had failed because they misunderstood its purpose. Humans had succeeded because they embraced the values the tomb honored. Ryan reflected aloud, we have proven that humans can succeed where others fail. Not by strength, but by thinking, observing, and acting with respect. Lyra nodded. That is the real power. Not weapons, not machines, but our choices and cooperation. Myra added, this is the legacy we carry now. The story of our journey will inspire others to act wisely, to value patience and understanding, and to respect those who came before us. The team felt a quiet pride. They had entered the tomb as explorers, but they left as guardians of a story and its wisdom. As their ship lifted off, the desert of Kuros stretched below them. The tomb, hidden beneath the dunes, remained undisturbed. Its secrets were safe, its lessons preserved. Myra looked down at the sand. We have learned more than knowledge or history. We have learned what it means to act with respect and care. That is the true treasure. Ryan smiled. And that is something no one can take from us. Lyra nodded. The Queen's legacy lives on, not just in the tomb, but in us, and in every person who hears our story. As they traveled through the stars, news of their journey spread. Humans became known as explorers who could succeed where others failed. Not because of technology or force, but because of respect, patience, and unity. Across planets, whispers spread about the Queen's tomb and the humans who honored it. Myra reflected on the journey. Every challenge we faced was a lesson. The living walls taught us observation. The trial of voices taught us trust and unity. The guardian taught us respect and compassion. The Queen's rest taught us that wisdom must be honored, not taken. All of these lessons are part of our legacy now. Ryan added, we can carry these lessons anywhere. Not just for exploration, but for every challenge we face. Humans are capable of succeeding where others fail because we choose to act with thought, care, and cooperation. Lyra smiled. And that is what makes us special. Not our machines or power, but our hearts and minds. That is the lesson the tomb has given us, and it will guide us always. The humans looked out at the stars, feeling a deep sense of purpose. Their journey had changed them. They had faced fear, temptation, and uncertainty. They had learned patience, cooperation, respect, and understanding. They had entered a tomb that no one else could and emerged wiser, carrying a legacy that would inspire others across the galaxy. Myra whispered, "We are part of something greater now. The Queen's tomb is not just a place of the past. It is a lesson for the future. We will honor it always." As their ship sailed toward new worlds, the humans knew that their journey was far from over. There would be new challenges, new discoveries, and new lessons. But they carried with them the greatest treasure of all, the wisdom of Queen Sirat, the lessons of patience, unity, respect, and the knowledge that humans could succeed where others failed. The tomb of the Queen remained beneath the sands of Kuros, silent, undisturbed, and alive with the memories of a wise ruler. Her lessons would endure because humans had proven themselves worthy. They had completed the journey not as conquerors, but as students, guardians, and carriers of her legacy. The story of the humans and the Queen's tomb spread across worlds. It inspired explorers, scholars, and leaders. They learned that true success is not measured by power or wealth, but by patience, respect, and cooperation. Humanity had proven that the greatest strength lies in unity, understanding, and care. Myra looked at her team one last time before turning her eyes to the stars. "This is our legacy," she said. "We will honor it, share it, and live by it. That is what makes us worthy of the lessons we have received." The humans continued their journey, carrying the wisdom of the Queen's forbidden tomb into the far reaches of the galaxy, spreading the story of patience, cooperation, and respect. They had proven that humans could succeed where others failed, not through power, but through understanding, care, and unity. Their legacy had begun. The tomb remained hidden beneath the dunes, but its lessons lived on. And the humans, forever changed by what they had learned, would ensure that the wisdom of Queen Sirat would never be forgotten.